Private jet maker Bombardier is sticking with its forecast for the year. Let's have a look at the stock now because, down almost 5%. Slightly weaker than expected Q1 results. Desjardins says at first glance, the 2025 guidance doesn't look thrilling, but let's get more from Stephen Trent, Managing Director for America's Airlines and Latin Transports at Citi Research. Stephen, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Off the top, what jumped out for you with the Bombardier numbers?
Yeah, morning, and thank you for having me on. So I think, the first Q was a few pennies below consensus on the bottom line. The jet deliveries for the quarter, maybe mix-wise, were a little bit light. But I would not characterize the results as negative, nor would I characterize the 2025 guidance as bad. I actually think in this environment, looking at the broader ecosystem, this company just reiterated what is a very good 2025 guide in terms of EBITDA and free cash flow growth.
Actually, I got it wrong there. They are introducing their formal guidance for 2025. I think it's a new number from the company.
Yes. So basically, if one looks at the 2025 guidance today, and in terms of where the growth was versus 2024, they are indeed sticking with a strong result. We'd had pieces of what they were expecting before. So I wouldn't say this is entirely new.
Okay.
But basically, in an environment where we've had other companies pull their guidance, this company is still pointing to a strong result and is not completely dependent on tariffs.
One of the concerns with investors, I believe, has been free cash flow from Bombardier because their net debt to EBITDA, something like 3 times. Are you impressed by the free cash flow guidance from the company?
Yes, I am. So maybe I'm just an old timer. I remember when the net debt to EBITDA was closer to 8. So they've made really significant improvements in the balance sheet and the operations over the last couple of years. And I think the amount of free cash flow they're generating, $500 million on the low end to $800 million on the higher end, that's a very good number, considering we're in a market with what continues to be significant ongoing uncertainty on tariffs and global trade. There
are, of course, worries about tariffs, and this company would bring in components and parts from all over the world. Are they looking at significant disruption here?
Well, so far, if one looks at the guide, they have certainly indicated, for instance, free cash flow range at least somewhat implies modest working capital dislocation, perhaps, when we think about the lower end of the free cash flow guide. So I wouldn't say they're immune to everything happening with tariffs. What I would say is the model and the degree to which the company's products are showing really good demand globally is really mitigating a lot of that tariff risk.
Could you give us an idea? Who would their major customers be? Is it billionaires and oligarchs, or is it governments or big corporations?
Yeah, so you kind of have some mix of the three. I would say that one of the newer sort of emerging customers is going to be the military side. So remember, for example, not long ago, Bombardier delivered its first aircraft to the U.S. Army's Hades program. And when we think about the military applicability of the global family, you have an aircraft with a really long range, a high service ceiling that probably has a significant recon and surveillance value for global militaries. So that segment, for example, maybe you're delivering an aircraft that's half loaded or maybe a relatively bare fuselage, and perhaps you're getting the same price point for that plane as you would selling the aircraft to a billionaire, which where you have the interior needs a great deal more work.
Right, so they've contributed the global 6,500 in support of the high accuracy detection and exploitation system. Hades, they had to give it a scary sounding name. Now, I know this is the realm of politics, but apparently Bombardier CEO Eric Martel has warned that if Canada was to cancel the F-35 fighter, which is a stretch, it's kind of hard to see us doing that. It'd be such a drastic step. It could lead to pushback on U.S. orders for its planes.
Yeah, certainly everything kind of swirling around at the moment. Looking at sort of the political angles here is sort of well above my pay grade. But, what I would say, though, the Hades program, order flow, potentially more order flow from there. Certainly you look at Canada, it's an important ally. It's a Five Eyes member. So, would there be pushback if the F-35 gets canceled? It would be disingenuous of me to say the risk would be zero. But I think going beyond U.S. military, global military spending seems to be on the way up. And I would see from this angle a great deal of momentum for large cabin aircraft demand for these reconnaissance and surveillance programs.
Right, and they have this modified global jets for the battlefield airborne communications node. Yeah, they're great ones for jargon in the military. Just finally, remind us, they have a new prestige product out there. Can you remind us what their big new jet is?
Well, so you actually have the Global 8000 in the works. So that will be the largest jet and the highest price point jet in their product suite. That's something that's hopefully going to be certified and maybe certified this year and maybe even see some deliveries this year. But it's the fastest civilian aircraft. I believed when the company was doing test flights, they actually needed a jet fighter to act as a chase plane because some of the test flights exceeded Mach 1. So, that's something that we should see and the market should see maybe before the end of this year.
That's amazing. A private jet that goes above the speed of sound. Stephen, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it.
And my pleasure.
Stephen Trent, Managing Director for America's Airlines and Latin Transports at Citi Research.